Want to say thank you to our attorneys, Erica Meinerich, for joining us today. I know you have to leave us, but also Franz Bogart. We appreciate you sticking around for this hour as we continue to follow the sentencing of Jussie Smollet right here on Court TV Live.
Need free lawn? Call True Green today.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Joy Lim-Nakran in for Judge Ashley Wilcott this afternoon. We continue following breaking news out of Chicago where actor Jussie Smollet will be sentenced very soon. Now, right now, the court has been hearing victims' impact statements. We've also been hearing from people testifying, witnesses testifying on behalf of Jussie Smollet in order to help him get a reduced sentence. They've been speaking about his good character. Right now, as we are looking live into the court, this is the older brother of Jussie Smollet. Let's go and listen live.
And while this might just be a level 4 felony to a lot of people, under the circumstances, this has felt like the reincarnation of Al Capone's trial, okay? To be honest. And it's not your fault. I'm not trying to say it's your fault, I'm not saying. But the way that this has been, so that's probably the reason you see us sharing notes and doing prayer sessions. My mom's 69 years old. She was born in 1952 in Texas. All right? She knows a thing about racism. She doesn't really need a lecture about the extent of racism. Neither does an openly gay African-American man. All right? I strongly believe, you know what I'm going to say, I strongly believe in my brother's innocence. But I'm not going to rehash or try to relitigate the issues in the case today. Your Honor, I come before you humbly to request leniency when you sentence my brother. Please remember that we are currently living in a time in which we are enduring a vicious pandemic, extreme economic uncertainty, a major conflict in Eastern Europe, and global paradigm shifts taking place everywhere. As human beings, we are collectively worn down. But Jussie Smollet is not at the source of the socio-economic and political problems on Earth. On quite the contrary, he is a man who has been a beacon of hope, charity, and philanthropy to his nation and to his community. He has made real efforts in his lifetime to promote equality and love among all of humanity. He has expressed strong political views and has stood against injustice wherever he thinks it may lie. His criticism of powerful individuals, organizations, and practices does not make him a bad person, okay, or someone who should be punished. It simply makes him an American. I'm sure that Mr. Dan Webb was once on former President Ronald Reagan's radar for his criticism during the Iran-Contra prosecutions, all right? But standing up to powers and authorities in America is what makes us, part of what makes us American. And he turned out to have a pretty successful career after he stood up to power. Jussie does not have malice or hatred toward anyone, and it is truly unfortunate that his reputation has received so many negative connotations, and he has never received the benefit of the doubt or a proper presumption of innocence. And even though I completely disagree with the jury's decision in this case, I am not attempting to rehash it here. I only want to give support to the point that Jussie should not be incarcerated. Jussie Smollet is my younger brother. I know you're going to think I'm biased. I am 5 years older than he is, and I can remember him at infancy. He has always been a loyal, loving, and creative human being. He is not a threat to the people of Illinois. And in my humble opinion, Jussie is completely innocent, but even for those, once again, who think he is guilty, the crime he has been accused of is not even considered a felony in most states. Furthermore, here in Illinois and in Cook County, disorderly conduct is oftentimes not even prosecuted and charges are frequently dropped. Incarceration of any kind would send the wrong message, especially in a time in which we as a nation have expressed in a bipartisan plurality the desire to see real criminal justice reform and an end to unnecessary mass incarceration, which predominantly affects African Americans, Hispanics and Latinos, and poor and impoverished white people. We also know now that as a nation that calls itself free, we cannot do so while continuing to incarcerate more nonviolent offenders than any other nation in the world. Mass incarceration is also an unnecessary burden to the taxpayers, to law enforcement, and it is simply unjust and wrong. For those who believe that Jussie is guilty once again and needs more punishment, I would also ask you to consider the gut-wrenching and stomach-turning punishment he has already experienced for the last 3 years. The TV show that he poured so much labor and commitment into making a success was ripped away from him even before he was criminally tried. The fact is, the overwhelming majority of mass and online media reporting in early 2019 resulted in a premature assumption of guilt, and the court of public opinion had already convicted Jussie in early 2019. For the last 3 years, he has had to live in anxiety and in a certain kind of pseudo form of house arrest. As a public figure, he has had to deal with public scorn and the real security threats associated with being an accused celebrity. He was, in essence, quarantining almost a year before the COVID-19 pandemic even began. Now, we all know the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantees the right to a speedy trial. In my opinion, it is unfathomable for me to stand here in March of 2022 pleading with Your Honor not to give my brother jail time for a low-level offense that is alleged to have been committed in early 2019. For those who believe he is guilty, once again, trust me when I say that the punishment he has already received has far exceeded the actual alleged offense that you accuse him of. Your Honor, there's been a lot talked about, restoring public trust. In my opinion, you don't restore public trust by demonstrating to the public that a level 4 felony, which once again is not even what he's accused of, not even a felony charge in most states in America, by giving him a stiff sentence which includes jail time. That's not restoring public trust. That's in my opinion, all right? And if you were to go 5 miles in any direction in this area, from this courthouse, and talk to people in the community, you're not going to say, they're not going to tell you, oh yeah, we restored the public trust because Jussie Smollet went to jail. Trust me, it's not going to happen, all right? This is not restoring public trust, all right? We are dealing with a lot of things in the world right now, and sending him to jail would not be restoring public trust. So please also keep in mind that, like myself, many people view this case as nothing more than a he said, she said kind of case, all right, with no evidence to have warranted his conviction in the first place. With that in mind, Your Honor, I am humbly requesting that your sentencing of my brother not include any incarceration. I, myself, and my entire family will be eternally grateful. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there an additional witness that would like to say something today?
Yes.
Mr. Allen, how about a chair? Would that be helpful?
I'm gonna.
I need a mic.
She's the boss, Judge. She's gonna tell me where to go.
I want to be heard.
Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. Good to be here. Okay.
All right.
I thank you for this opportunity to allow me to make this statement. My name is Molly Smollet, and I am 92 years old. I have lived in New Mexico for over 25 years, but I am originally from New York, where I was a film editor. I am the proud grandmother of Jussie and his siblings. I felt compelled to come and tell you that the Jussie I know and love does not match up with the media's betrayal of him. And I'm talking to you guys. You haven't done a good job on investigative reporting. I've worked on documentaries. I know what it is. I've gone through the McCarthy period. I marched with Martin Luther King in the March on Washington, and I'm here now. And so you got to do better. I challenge you to do more investigative reporting. Jussie himself, as you've heard from the testimonials, is a very gentle, kind, and generous young man, and his empathy is infinite, which translates in giving of himself. Jussie has always been active in the pressing issues facing our communities, such as HIV, AIDS, voting rights, and other urgent social problems in America. One Christmas, he went to Flint, Michigan to entertain children who were living with lead poisoning from their drinking water. What the media may not know is that Jussie is what I call a justice warrior. He has been active against injustice all his life, as his mother has, who is an incredible rock for her children. And as my son, their father, who sadly passed away from cancer 7 years ago, only in his 50s. And I know in my heart that my son, Jussie's father, would have wanted me to come here to tell you who the real Jussie is. I also have fought against injustice forever, and I feel it's in our DNA. I attribute this to being Jewish and the persecution of my ancestors. The Hebrew words tikkun olam means to repair the world, and that's what I do, and that's what Jussie does. I will end by saying that Jussie is loved and respected by all who know him. And I ask you, the judge, not to send him to prison. If you do, send me along with him, okay? And I thank you for letting me talk. Thank you so much. And thank you all. It's nice to be in Chicago.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Shake and help her get back
Thanks.
with the family.
Yeah, thank you so much. They have suffered so much.
I see.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. The next one. Thank you. What's that?
Sorry. Mr. Uche, any other live witnesses you care to present today?
Judge, not at this time. I believe, I'm just checking Mr. Allen real quick. Okay. No, Judge, just the statements to be.
Okay. All right, I've heard evidence in aggravation, evidence in mitigation. I'll now entertain arguments in aggravation and mitigation, starting with the Office of Special Prosecutor.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
You want us to
Yes, okay. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I have received numerous letters on behalf of Mr. Smollet. Some of them as recent as today, this morning. And I think it's only fair to publish and spread of record who those letters are from. Generally, they're all asking for mercy. They all know him in different capacities. They're strongly advocating for him. But you can tell me who those letters are from. And I think the special prosecutor has also received the same letters that I've received.
Yes, Your Honor.
And if you want to paraphrase a little bit from the letters, Mr. Allen, you're welcome to.
Sure. Your Honor, the first letter here is from the organization Black Lives Matter. Dear Judge Lynn, Black Lives Matter stands in strong support.
Okay, so you have been watching live here on Court TV the sentencing hearing for actor Jussie Smollet, convicted of 5 counts of lying to investigators. Just before the moment that we kind of turned away, you were hearing that live testimony from his 92-year-old grandmother. We also heard from his brother. We also heard from a man that he worked with and a woman who he worked with in South Africa doing some volunteer and charity work as well. And of course, they are asking for leniency. They are kind of testifying as to his good character. But of course, the prosecution on the other side is citing several aggravating factors as well. So we're going to continue to follow the latest on the sentencing of actor Jussie Smollet here on Court TV Live.
Keep your privates private.
I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one.
It has been incredibly painful as this family to watch someone you love be accused of something they did not do.
Defendants have a right to go to trial. Defendants have a right to argue that their case has not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. But defendants do not have the right to go in front of a jury and lie under oath.
And the sentencing hearing now underway for actor Jussie Smollet after he was convicted of 5 counts of lying to investigators. Each of those counts could carry a potential sentence of up to 3 years in prison, as well as a hefty fine. Now, we've been following here on Court TV as there has been testimony on his behalf from his 92-year-old grandmother, his brother, individuals that he worked with, and right now, letters are being read in court by defense attorney Shay Allen. Of course, the defense team is hoping for leniency. Let's go back live into court.
Scenario. Jussie has no prior criminal record and has never been violent. It is incredulous to Sam and to me that this entire criminal situation even exists. Jussie has already suffered a great deal of punishment, as this situation has destroyed his existing career and impugned his reputation. Please, Judge Lynn, in God's name, please save this young man and allow him to be of service. Jussie Smollet is worth the risk and the investment. Respectfully, Latanya Jackson and Samuel L. Jackson. And we have more now.
Mr. Lewis.
Hey, Judge. Judge, if you'll indulge me for a moment, I'd like to read a letter from the Rainbow Push Coalition that was submitted in support of our client. Dear Judge Lynn, I write as someone who has known Jussie Smollet for over 20 years. I know him to have a strong family background. He is a loving and caring person, and I am familiar with his commitment to community service. It is important to him to use his gifts to support the needs of others. Jussie was raised in a strong and very close-knit family. I urge you to consider several moral issues as you weigh sentencing options. Jussie has no prior felony convictions. He has a history of community service and charitable giving of his time, talent, and treasury. He has sustained a significant loss of income prior to being convicted of any crime. Based on the very public nature of the charges in the trial, Jussie has lost countless career opportunities. I have served as a citizen devoted to having a positive impact on the lives of young men and women in the city of Chicago since 1968. In pursuit of that mission, I have visited the Cook County Jail and several Illinois prisons every year since Operation Breadbasket launched. I have seen firsthand the disastrous impact jail has on far too many young people of color, especially young African American men, who often see a complete loss of hope in their situations. Since this case involves the alleged actions of a very visible public figure, it presents a unique opportunity to send a message to millions of young black and brown men that the system cares for them. This highly publicized Class 4 felony case can be utilized as a positive teaching moment about how the criminal justice system can work to benefit all in our society. I appeal to you in the spirit of righteousness to consider the impact America's criminal justice system has on young black males who struggle every day to survive the streets of urban America. We have an obligation as a society to favor restorative justice rather than retributive justice. Jussie Smollet was convicted of a Class 4 felony, the least severe category of felony in Illinois. A well-established practice in Cook County is to sentence Class 4 disorderly conduct cases to incarceration alternatives. Such alternatives might include second chance probation, regular probation, or deferred prosecution. Additionally, an important consideration in sentencing is the potential for recidivism. Jussie Smollet's lack of felony criminal record, as well as many positive contributions to society, demonstrates that he poses no risk for recidivism. Jussie has a long track record of being deeply engaged and contributing citizen who is committed to helping the most vulnerable in our society, whether persons living with HIV/AIDS and children orphaned by the disease, or children whose health was damaged by the contaminated water in Flint, Michigan. Jussie's commitment to serving the community began as a child. As he found professional success, he continued to donate time and money to charitable causes. Another factor that we urge your honor to consider is that the crime did not involve violence to others. None of the actions charged indicate that Jussie ever posed a threat to public safety. Further, Jussie has already suffered. He has been vilified in the court of public opinion. His professional reputation has been severely damaged. He has suffered lost career opportunities, a loss of income, and there are a number of people who rely on Jussie for financial assistance. Finally, I am deeply concerned about the physical safety and well-being of a well-known, nonviolent black gay man with a Jewish heritage who may be incarcerated within the U.S. prison system. For all the foregoing reasons, I believe the only fair and just outcome is to sentence Jussie Smollet to a non-incarceration alternative. With respect, we respectfully urge you to do so. Rainbow Push Coalition welcomes the opportunity to serve as a place for Jussie to resume his desire to serve the community. During the first year of COVID, we served more than 4,000 meals each day. We have a program that is designed to meet some of the issues homeless individuals face each and every day in the city while trying to survive. We believe that those who are impacted by the criminal justice system deserve an opportunity to be restored to a meaningful life and lives throughout community engagement and public service. We have worked diligently to transform the lives of young people in our Push Excel programs. I believe that Jussie has much to give to America, and this case is a stumbling block that should not become a setback to his future. We do not want Jussie to become another prison statistic, as he has way too much to offer. I stand ready, along with the board of directors and the several thousand members of the Rainbow Push Coalition, to support Jussie Smollet in his journey to wholeness. We want to assist this court in meting out justice for Jussie Smollet. Signed, the Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, Sr.
Any other submissions? Ms. Glandian?
Your Honor, I have a letter from Lauren Caseberg on behalf of the Illinois Innocence Project. To the Honorable Judge Lynn, I submit this letter in my personal capacity as co-director of the Illinois Innocence Project. This letter is provided in support of a non-custodial sentence for Jussie Smollet, and also to inform the court that if there is a community service component to Mr. Smollett's sentence, he would be welcome to do so under my direct supervision at the Illinois Innocence Project. At the outset, I want to be clear that the jury found Mr. Smollet guilty, and I respect the jury's verdict. I write to you today regarding his sentence and urge the court to issue a just and fair sentence to Mr. Smollet. In high-profile cases, there is often a tone surrounding a case that seems to call for the harshest possible punishment because of the attention the case has garnered. I would urge Your Honor to silence out those loud voices and see Mr. Smollet for who he is, as a person before you, a human being. The old adage applies here: justice is the law tempered by mercy. Here, while the law may permit you to sentence Mr. Smollet to prison, incarcerating him would not be just. The relentless media coverage of this case is a unique punishment in and of itself for Mr. Smollet. He will carry the stain of this case for the rest of his life and spend the rest of his life and career working to rebuild and establish his credibility, his reputation, and good name. That lifetime sentence is something this court should consider as a unique punishment already dealt to Mr. Smollet in the court of public opinion. In fact, cases with media attention provide an opportunity for the court to show the public that justice, fairness, and mercy applies to everyone, no matter who they are. If the system doesn't treat a high-profile defendant justly, then what can be expected for the rest of us? If Mr. Smollet, who has no prior felony convictions and no violent background, is sent to prison on a Class 4 conviction, then what does that mean for an unknown defendant who has no one watching or advocating for him? This, of course, intersects with the disparate manner in which people of color are sentenced.
Okay, so you've been watching live the sentencing hearing for actor Jussie Smollet. You know, the defense has been presenting not just live witness testimony, but letters. And as they're looking for leniency for their defendant, that includes a letter from Jesse Jackson as well. Now, Smollet has been convicted of 5 counts of lying to investigators, each count carrying a sentence of up to 3 years in prison, as well as a fine. So, of course, his defense is arguing several mitigating factors while the prosecution is arguing aggravating factors. And we're going to continue to follow the latest right here on Court TV Live.
Download Earnin.
For the kind of joy that Jussie brings. Now, some conscientious people reach out to those without access after they achieve success in their given fields. Jussie has been a compassionate presence and advocate for those without means since he was a boy. His dedicated work as an artist brought him success and allowed him to bring his natural impulse to be of assistance to an even wider field of effectiveness. Jussie has kept his heart.
Okay, so you have been watching live the sentencing hearing of actor Jussie Smollett. Of course, he was convicted of 5 counts of lying to investigators, each of those counts carrying a sentence of up to 3 years in prison, along with a hefty fine. Right now, we have been hearing from the defense. You know, they presented several live witnesses who have been testifying as to the character of Jussie Smollett, the positive character and attributes. That includes his 92-year-old grandmother, his brother, an individual that he worked with, an individual that he volunteered with in South Africa. We've also heard a letter read from Jesse Jackson, among several others. And right now, defense attorney Tamara Walker, part of Smollett's defense team, is reading another letter from someone I heard her call Mama Alfie to Jussie Smollett. And if I understand correctly, Alfie Woodard, the famed actress, actually did do some volunteer work with Smollett, according to the testimony we heard earlier today in South Africa. So let's go ahead back into court as we follow the sentencing hearing of. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's pick the brains a little bit of some of our guest analysts joining us right now. We have in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, criminal defense attorney Franz Borghardt, as well as from Dallas, Texas, former DOJ senior attorney and former federal prosecutor Tammy Allison joining us right now. So, Tammy, we haven't heard from you yet this hour. You've been watching this closely, I'm sure. What's your reaction to how this is all going?
Thank you for having me. My reaction is that it's a little bit of overkill, the defense attorneys putting on all of these witnesses, trying to get the judge to have leniency in this sentencing here. I think hearing from 1 or 2 people that can attest to his character and to the fact that he possibly should not be sentenced to jail time is fine. But to go to the extent of name dropping all of these celebrities, I actually think it's going to backfire, just given the fact that it was a hoax and it's just so obvious. And I don't think that the judge is going to appreciate the name dropping as if his celebrity status is going to get him out of the sentence that he most likely is going to get.
Do you think this name dropping, as you call it, is like an attempt to pressure the judge, kind of create some public pressure on this judge? What do you think, Franz?
I think it's a mistake is what I think. I think it is a tactical mistake to parade celebrities, especially, and one of the core themes of this sentencing for the defense has been disrespect. The brother was very disrespectful in his talk. It's disrespectful to talk about how unserious of a crime this is and how unserious of a thing this is. But most poignantly, where's the remorse? There has been not 1 tablespoon of remorse and contrition from anybody. Mercy, yes, but remorse, none. We didn't even hear from the defendant. So I think there's been a lot of disrespect. I think I agree with Tammy. I think it's going to backfire. I think this could have been done in a much more subtle way. And I think they had an opportunity to put on some really good remorse-driven mitigation, and they have failed.
Yeah, I mean, the issue, though, Tammy, as you know, I mean, how can you be remorseful for something that you deny that you did? And he denies that he lied and made it up.
Which is why the defense attorney is making a mistake. You know, you don't put these types of witnesses forward to make these types of statements in an effort to get the judge to either depart from the sentence that he should get or do a downward departure, because all it's doing is making the situation way worse. And the fact that they brought in a witness that he used to work with back in the late 90s, it's like, come on. You could have brought somebody from Empire, but guess what? Lee Daniels don't even mess with Jussie Smollett no more because it was a whole lie, okay? So it would have been more impactful if perhaps the people that were at his last employment place were speaking on his behalf, but that's not the case here. It's a mess, and I don't see this going anywhere good.
Yeah, you know, before the actual sentencing, which is kind of this hearing taking place right now, we actually heard a motion for a new trial from the defense. You know, they cited 13 errors, what they called errors during the course of the trial. They cited numerous errors before the trial. And the judge, in no uncertain terms, denied a new trial. That's not going to happen. Franz, do you think that even going through those motions has really set a bad tone and created kind of a little bit of animosity with the judge for the defense?
I think going through a trial of this magnitude probably established a tone between all the parties, and I don't know that this motion would change that. It is hard to pivot from an argument that, hey, we think the court and the trial was messed up in these 13 ways to, hey, judge, please don't put me in jail. Please have mercy. That's a hard pivot, right? That's a very hard pivot.
Yeah, Tammy, what do you think?
You know, I can't knock them for trying. You know, any good defense attorney, they're going to try to do what they got to do for their client. But I just think they should be a little more strategic about it, because this is just going to backfire. It's a hot mess. We have to remember that, you know, originally Kim Fox, she declined to pursue charges and dismissed them. And the special prosecutor came in and refiled these charges. There's been an entire jury trial. He's been found guilty. So they have to be very careful with the way they position it. And given the fact that people are talking about this is a wrongful conviction and criminal justice reform, please, let's not conflate the two, because what that's doing is perpetuating misconceptions, and that's not going to lead us to the reform that we so desperately need.
Okay, and you know, we did hear from the brother of Jussie Smollet. You know, he talked about what he described as kind of a racial element to all of this. He pointed to the fact that his brother is an openly gay black man, and in the context of actually a bit of criminal justice reform. And let's not forget that the underlying crime here is staging a racist, homophobic attack. I'm seeing from our viewers kind of chime in on social media about the fact that Smollet and his family have brought in a racial element and a homophobic element to all of this and are sticking by it to some extent, even now during sentencing. What do you think, Tammy?
Girl, listen, I'm so over it. Listen, there are real issues that are happening where there are inherent biases in the policies and the procedures in the criminal justice world. Okay, this is everything that I fight for. This is why I started this law firm. So for him as a black man to recruit two Nigerians, and I'm Nigerian, and we already know the things they say about Nigerians now. Come on, it's not true. To recruit these Nigerians to stage this setup and then turn around and try to talk about criminal justice reform. Listen, it's not a good look. It's horrible. It's bad. And I don't like it.
All right. Well, of course, we're going to get more of your insight and analysis as we continue our live coverage of the sentencing of Jussie Smollet. Welcome back to Court TV Live. We continue following breaking news out of Chicago, where actor Jussie Smollet will be sentenced very soon. Right now, the court is on a 5-minute recess. Of course, the big question is whether Jussie Smollet will get jail time or perhaps be let off with probation. The former Empire star was found guilty of 5 felony charges related to lying to police after he faked a hate crime back in January of 2019, paying 2 men to attack him. While we're on break, we want to listen to testimony from his brother.
For those who believe that Jussie is guilty once again and needs more punishment, I would also ask you to consider the gut-wrenching and stomach-turning punishment he has already experienced for the last 3 years. The TV show that he poured so much labor and commitment into making a success was ripped away from him even before he was criminally tried. The fact is, the overwhelming majority of mass and online media reporting in early 2019 resulted in a premature assumption of guilt, and the court of public opinion had already convicted Jussie in early 2019. For the last 3 years, he has had to live in anxiety and in a certain kind of pseudo form of house arrest. As a public figure, he has had to deal with public scorn and the real security threats associated with being an accused celebrity. He was, in essence, quarantining almost a year before the COVID-19 pandemic even began. Now, we all know the 6th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantees the right to a speedy trial. In my opinion, it is unfathomable for me to stand here in March of 2022, pleading with Your Honor not to give my brother jail time for a low-level offense. that is alleged to have been committed in early 2019. For those who believe he is guilty, once again, trust me when I say that the punishment he has already received has far exceeded the actual alleged offense that you accuse him of. Your Honor, there's been a lot talked about, restoring public trust. In my opinion, you don't restore public trust by demonstrating to the public that a level 4 felony, which once again is not even what he's accused of, not even a felony charge in most states in America, by giving him a stiff sentence, which includes jail time. That's not restoring public trust. That's in my opinion, right? And if you were to go 5 miles in any direction in this area, from this courthouse, and talk to people in the community, you're not going to say, they're not going to tell you, oh yeah, we restored the public trust because Jussie Smollet went to jail. Trust me, it's not going to happen, all right? This is not restoring public trust, all right? We are dealing with a lot of things in the world right now, and sending him to jail would not be restoring public trust.
So that was Jussie Smollet's brother, one of many witnesses testifying on his behalf, begging for leniency for Jussie Smollet, who's now been convicted of 5 counts of lying to investigators. Want to go back live into court as Special Prosecutor Dan Webb is speaking to the court.
By a jury after they heard all the evidence, and they, the jury, made the decision that he was guilty of 5 felony offenses. I want to talk about that. We've heard a lot about that in this sentencing hearing, a lot of talk about how it's kind of a low-level thing, not a big deal. I want to talk about it. Number 2, another aggravating circumstance that I think is a big issue is that during this trial, Mr. Smollet made the choice, sitting here in front of a jury, listening to evidence, he decided to beat the case and go in front of a jury and take an oath to tell the truth and decide to lie to them, and lie to them for several hours. It was an effort to obstruct justice in this courtroom, to try to convince a jury to ignore evidence and accept his lies, and they didn't do it. They rejected it all, and after, 2 or 3 hours of deliberation, found him guilty of 5 counts. So I want to talk about that. The third is the issue of contrition. As far as I know, as I stand before Your Honor, in the 3 years that this case has been pending, 3 years, Mr. Smollet has never made any statement, publicly or in a courtroom or in a court pleading, to ever accept any acknowledgement that he's responsible for what happened here, to admit that he in fact engaged in wrongdoing, to apologize for making mistakes. None of that has happened. Not a single act of contrition has happened so far in this case, and I at least want to talk about that as a third factor. Let me go through them one at a time. On the first one, on the seriousness of misconduct, I know we've heard a lot about this, and it's a low-level offense, but I want to talk about it in a minute, because what I believe, if you look at the evidence that was introduced during the trial, what you see is that Mr. Smollet actually engaged in a very well thought out plan, a calculated plan for him to fake a hate crime to benefit himself because he's black and gay. He made the choice. He didn't want to fake an automobile accident. He made a choice. He wanted to fake a hate crime to benefit himself because he's black and gay. And he then made a choice. He made the choice to falsely report it to the Chicago Police Department because he wanted public attention to it. The only reason, the brothers had nothing to do with that decision. That was Mr. Smollet's decision. He actually wanted public attention, called to the fact that he was reporting a hate crime. He wanted it to be made public, and that's why he reported it to the Chicago Police Department. He's the one that made that choice. Remember, he actually, when he planned out the fake attack, he wanted it to be put on a camera. There was a police camera overhead near his apartment building. He wanted that filmed. In fact, that's why he told the brothers where to do the attack, because he's the one that wanted a great deal of public attention, called to this because he thought he would benefit from it. And then he made the decision. It wasn't like he sat down with a policeman for 10 minutes You've heard 5 different police officers testify in detail. He spent hours talking to police officers, going through details that were all false, to convince them that there really was a real hate crime, and he lied to them over and over and over again. And the idea that lying to law enforcement, taking their attention away from other crimes and criminal activity in order to benefit himself is some type of low-level, insignificant activity, I respectfully reject that as not being consistent with the evidence. And respectfully, to what I heard from others here today, there were consequences to others of what he did. And that's something the court is allowed to take into consideration. What Mr. Smollet did in this case is he denigrated, degraded true hate crimes, and he marginalized the people who are true victims of hate crimes. That is what he did. And he did that knowingly. He knew exactly what was going to happen. He didn't know he was going to get caught, but by what he did here, he's the one that made a choice that resulted in true hate crimes being denigrated, degraded, and true victims being marginalized. We know, in fact, it's in the Chicago Police Department report, that the hate crime victims of hate crimes are frequently minorities, whether it's based on race, religion, or sexual orientation. And studies show that that group of people are reluctant to report criminal activity to police, hate crimes to the police. And that was discussed in the Chicago Police Department report. There are studies that support that. It takes a tremendous amount of courage on behalf of someone who's been truly victimized of a hate crime to have the courage to come forward, to go through the process of reporting it, to go through our criminal justice system as a witness. It takes courage. And what Mr. Smollet did in this case clearly would have a marginalized, discouraging influence. It hurt the effort to have people come forward and report hate crimes. And that was wrong. That is serious misconduct and a serious consequence of what he did. And he did it in 2019. And if I want to go back to that time period, that's a time period where there was a lot of racial tension, divisiveness. Hate crimes were becoming far too common, and police were accused of not paying enough attention to it. And that society was trying to find a way, at least this is my view, of trying to find a way to make it clear that that needs to be reported. Hate crime needs to be addressed by law enforcement machinery in this country. And what he did, what Mr. Smollet did, to marginalize that, to discourage people from coming forward, I respectfully suggest is wrong. And that, and it was a normal consequence of what he did in order to benefit himself. Remember what the facts are. He made the choice in January of 2019 he felt that Empire was not paying enough attention to a hate letter about him that came to him, and he wasn't getting enough attention. And he decided to fake a hate crime to benefit himself. He wanted to benefit.
So you've been watching live that Special Prosecutor Dan Webb, of course, in the sentencing hearing of Jussie Smollet, the former Empire actor convicted of lying to investigators. It faces up to 3 years in prison plus a fine for each of the 5 counts on which he has been convicted. Of course, we're going to continue to follow the sentencing. Also, a huge thank you to Franz Borghardt and Tammy Allison, our guest attorneys, for joining us as legal analysts today. Our Michael Ayala will continue to follow the sentencing of Jussie Smollet right here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.